Good afternoon and welcome to Mosaic's Demo Day number 3. I'm Volker Heistermann, Managing Director of Mosaic Venture Lab and also the co-founder. And I would like to share with you a few updates, great updates that have happened in 2021. Mosaic Venture Lab has expanded to Germany. We have added an executive from the Volkswagen Group on our core team, who will work with startups and Taiwanese suppliers on providing access to not only the Volkswagen Group, but also to the supply chain, Daimler and Mercedes-Benz in Germany and Europe. Furthermore, we have added Continental, one of the not only tire makers, but one of the very, very key strategic suppliers, tier 1 suppliers in the global automotive industry, as a supporter of our program, in addition to the Volkswagen Group and Taiwan's Ministry of Economic Affairs, SMEA. Furthermore, we are also excited to announce that we have started to raise a $100 million venture capital fund together with a Taiwanese investment bank that will focus on early and mid-stage startups investing in electrification, connectivity, and in-cabin intelligence. So the core of what we're doing is in Taiwan, utilizing Taiwan's supply chain, nimble supply chain, powerful supply chain, in order to help commercialize startups, but also to help the Taiwan established supply chain to move up the food chain and not only provide systems and provide components, but actually systems. And on that note, I would like to invite our panelists for our panel discussion, mitigating supply chain risk. How do you get ahead of your competition? And our panelists today are, applause. Our panelists are today Mr. Bruce Bateman, who is in the Innovation and Startup Platforms Division of LightOn Technologies.
Hello, good to see everybody. Good to see everybody online.
And then we have Mr. Charles Lin, who is VP at Tech Design. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Why don't we start with a kickoff? Bruce, what's your background? You're quite well known to a lot of the viewers here in Taiwan.
If you don't know me, not much. So I've been in the tech business for 41 years. And done about 9 successful startups. One of the startups went IPO, about 9 to 10 startups that started to have product released but never went anywhere, and about another 15, 20 that we never got off the ground because A round never got funded, or seed round never got funded. Now I work with LightOn, helping them design and recruit startups that are, we would call post-accelerator startups. So people finish the Mosaic Lab Mosaic Lab's accelerator would then come to us, and then we would then help them. We do post-acceleration. We call it executive, whatever that other word was. And so we're really looking for people who not just have to do with LightOn. We're looking for people who really are innovative in any kind of space, automotive, with new kind of materials or anything. They don't have to be LightOn related. And so we're building a platform and physical building for them to come to. So we're really looking for today's graduates from today's pitch day. And there are a couple of them, that we've already been talking to and we're working with. So we hope that we get them in. So very excited today. Been a fan of Mosaic since its inception.
Thank you, Bruce. Thanks for the support. And then Charles.
Sure. I've started out my career in management consulting at McKinsey, and then I spent a number of years in supply chain and procurement at Dell. And then more recently,
I was at Dell.
You guys are former colleagues.
So then I more recently joined Tech Design, and Tech Design is basically an online platform that helps companies accelerate their hardware development. So we have 2 businesses. One's the e-market. We sell electronic components directly from manufacturers to get better continuity of supply, better pricing. And the other group is e-service, and basically we help companies, hardware innovators, startups that want to find reliable manufacturers or development firms to help them create their electronic products. Right? So we've got a network of over 500 suppliers, a variety of technologies and capabilities. And when you come to us with your project details, we'll then find the most suitable match for you. They'll provide you with various quotes, and if you like it, you can kick off a project. And if you don't, then you find your partner elsewhere, no strings attached. So we're really just trying to make the electronic supply chain more accessible for smaller companies and startups.
Great. Okay. So now our program, as you know, is focused on the transportation industry, the EV at its core. And Taiwan has really seen a hype over the last 12 months or so with the Apple car coming, with the global semiconductor crisis that has forced auto companies to stop some of their productions, and with the announcement of the MIH platform and the car turning into an iPhone on wheels, as we like to say. And
excuse me, I think that's trademark brucebateman.com.
And you're adding something onto it. It's an iPhone on wheels with?
It's an iPhone on wheels built like a Lego, and it feels like my living room.
There you go. That's exactly why Taiwan is excited. The retail investors in the stock market, but also the Taiwanese suppliers. And we have a lot of startups that are going to present here after we are finishing our panel conversation. So I would like to share a little bit with you about what's important, first before we go into startups, what's important right now for the supply chain in Taiwan? What are the risks and risk mitigation factors, as there are competitors in Korea and Japan already procuring into the EV industry, as an example. So what's the opportunity in the supply chain in Taiwan, and what are also the risks for the supply chain in Taiwan? And this is just for the larger ODMs,
Yep.
OEMs.
All right, I'll start. So I think the one thing that's not on most people's radar is the carbon issue that the automotive companies. And the funny problem here is Daimler, Audi, all have stated, oh, we're going to be carbon neutral. But the problem is they can make their factory carbon neutral, they can make the car carbon neutral, but the rule is the supply chain has to be carbon neutral. So now that comes down to companies like Lidon that manufacture for automotive, that pressure is now ours. So now we can't just think, oh yeah, we'll think about it. And then we have to put the pressure down on our suppliers. So we're at tier 2, so the OEMs put on pressure on tier 1s, so the tier 1s will have to solve their problems, and then they're going to come to us and say, well, how about you? And they're going to say, the people below you. So when you buy the plastic resin from somebody, is that plastic resin, are they carbon neutral? So and then from our previous work with the automotives, they're not thinking of just the manufacturing, they're also thinking about sales, they're thinking about post-sales, they're thinking about how the maintenance and repair is done, what happens when you take out a battery from an EV, how do you dispose it, what is all of that. So it's birth to death. What is your carbon footprint? And that pressure, unfortunately, is coming to Taiwan. And we're going to have to figure out, just basically, we only have one source of electricity here. So how do we solve that problem? How does the Taipower improve or make available? So, and then when we work in Vietnam and in China and other countries, Mexico, how do we manage all of those factories and how they become eco-friendly? So I think that's the one thing that everybody wants to talk semiconductor and all, but the pressure will go all the way down to the semiconductor guy. TSMC is going to have to, and they already have. They bought wind power in Taiwan. They bought all the wind power. So, they are already addressing this issue.
Chance, how do you identify the risks for the supply chain in 2021, 2022? And what are the risks and how do you identify them?
So I like to kind of think it end to end and then categorize it into a few buckets. So there's first, kind of from a supply chain perspective, the incoming material risk, right? So can you get your materials into your factory on time so you can start production? Second part is the manufacturing risk itself. Can you produce efficiently and with high quality? And then there's thirdly, like the logistics to get it to your customers, right? And there's risks all along that. And then there's more generally like macro risks, kind of like the sustainability question or like COVID-19 or US-China trade war, these bigger type questions. So for each step along the way, there are a lot of different risks that could occur, and there are various mitigation strategies that you can use for each one too. So for instance, for the incoming material risk, right? Obviously holding more inventory, depending on the component, your lead time and the variability of demand, you want different inventory levels. Also multiple sources, so that you can switch to another source if it's not available. So those are kind of two of the principal ones on the incoming material route. And then manufacturing, I think it's really about making sure that you are doing all the steps before mass production so that you don't get into mass production and find out you have some big errors. So it's designed for manufacturing, it's about doing pilot runs ahead of time, those sorts of things, so that when you run and then you have your quality control system in place, everything proceeds smoothly. And then the last one, the logistics risks, we see that now with the shipping delays throughout the world. Those are a bit harder to mitigate. I would say, one thing you can do is have more production at your end market. And then if you do that, then you don't have to worry about shipping it all the way there, right? Or you can hold more inventory at your end market as well. But then you run into risk of holding that inventory too long or it becoming obsolete, right? So with any of these mitigation strategies, you end up having a trade-off, like I want to mitigate the risk, but then it comes with higher costs as well.
Yeah, and I think from a manufacturer's point of view, that's something we've for the last 30 years have worked on just pure JIT.
Yeah.
Right. So we expected our suppliers to give it to us right on time, and we blah blah going up.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because there are people now back in the 80s who would hoard chips, and so we see that trend happening again, where people they don't have to hoard the big chips; they can hoard just one of the smaller chips. In the automotive industry, it goes to kaputt, as we say in German.
That's right.
and how? So I think there's a philosophical problem of sort of the reality, because you've been in purchasing before, where the boss will tell you, well, hey, every inventory I'm paying, right? So how do you mitigate that with boss? If you don't buy it now, you're going to be screwed in the future. So and then is there data available to prove that? Because your boss will listen to data, right? If NXP or Qualcomm says, well, this is going to be available for 235 days, which I saw the other day, then you got to go back to the boss and say, we better do something now. And we also don't purchase like way in advance, like some companies now are doing. There's a trend of companies that are doing that, but that's not traditional JIT from Japan to Taiwan to China kind of work.
Yeah, exactly. I think for startups in particular, when you think about meeting like your launch schedule and your timing, I think early on, if you've identified some critical components, you might start doing what we call it like risk buy. So before the design is even finalized, before you've done your pilot runs, you probably have to buy some of those key components and just make sure that you'll have them. Otherwise, if you think about that, after your design's finalized, you're gonna have to wait another 250 weeks or so.
I have that exact case right now with one of my startups where they have to buy a particular MCU now. Because if they don't buy it now, and they can't buy large quantity, they can buy 200. The problem comes is they can get 200, they can't get 2,000. So if they design in that chip, and then at the end of 200, when they get the real order, because the 200 is only for POC stuff, right? When they get the real order, are they, what's that technical term? Screwed. Yeah, so there's a lot of risk in this of thinking you're doing it right, because everybody's using a particular MCU or a particular chipset, and you need to use it. Especially in telecom world, there's a particular chipset everybody's supposed to use. And what happens when you use it, and then you get it qualified? Because in the automotive world, we have to go through 27 different qualifications, and now I got to qualify. So I bought the 100 pieces. I went through that DECRA, and I got all of my ISO and all those certifications. And then the car maker goes, great, I'll take 10,000 or 100,000. And you say, it's too much. So what happens to your company? What happens to your reputation? What happens to what happens to everything? Could you end up screwing yourself? Sorry, that's a technical term. You end up screwing yourself in the long run So how does supply chain manager figure that out?
Well, certainly one thing you can try and do is design in multiple parts, alternate parts, right? So I don't know if it's always the case that's possible, but to the extent possible, like if you just rely on one part, maybe you can find a replacement part that also works, so that you have multiple options to go to when you're designing it. Yeah. So that's one thing you can try.
So when I'm a foreign startup and I have a choice to go to countries to manufacture my prototype, to get it done, and I pick Taiwan, how do I engage in Taiwan with the ecosystem? How do I actually get my prototype done? Do I go to a Light-On, or do I go to Charles, or do I go to Italy, or where do I go? What is the good way to go about that?
So I will start before him because he's got the better answer. So I think one of the things that a lot of foreign startups, SMEs see is they think they can come to Delta, Foxconn,
right,
or Light-On, or Westron, or what is your parent companies? One of those big companies. And the problem is that their minimum order is $1 million or more, and they're not going to design for you. They will fix your design because you're not designed for manufacturability is one thing. So we do, but this is one of the problems that we at Light-On we're addressing is how do we now take on newer projects. But it's a change in the culture, it's a change in process, it's a change in our purchasing things. And so all of these have to change. But Charles has this current solution.
Yeah, so I think this is actually exactly the problem that we try to solve with our tech design. Basically, I think the right suppliers to help those companies are not your big ODMs like Bruce was saying. They're more these smaller type manufacturers, product development firms that are used to working with small demands, small quantities, unique requirements, right? So we have a bunch of these suppliers with all of their different niches where they have capabilities, and you really just need to be matched with the right one, and then they say, well, this is exactly what I've been working on, I have this type of technology, and then you can bring them together. So certainly come reach out to us at Tech Design, and then we can help match you with a supplier who can probably help you.
Tech Design.
Yeah.
You didn't give your domain name.
www.techdesign.com.
So let's assume I'm a software startup, and I think I can enhance a hardware product. Let's say a camera that Light-On makes. That's just a hardware camera, but I have ADAS capabilities. I will make the camera smarter. Do I come to Taiwan for that, or do I go to Bosch directly for the car industry, or where do I go?
I would go to everybody until someone says yes.
Okay.
That's the honest truth. You date a lot, and but for Taiwan, yes, I think niche things like cameras and machine learning stuff. We do have capabilities of doing, because if you're taking our existing product that we make for somebody. Now be careful, because we may make a camera for company A, which we cannot give you. But if it's a minor modification, or if it's a kind of standard, like in telecom and networking, we make a standard product. So if you want to do, let's say software-defined networking, or you have some new 5G technology, then you could take our existing product. But again, we look for volume. So you would have to basically design your stuff, go to Bosch, and say, look, I have 5 cameras, but when it comes to mass production, I'm going to use this. But really what you want to do is you want to see my glued and hot glued project, and you see it works. And once we get into production, just Bosch understands. Once you get into production, I'm going to choose a particular camera, and I'm going to choose a Light-On, ADAS camera, and we're going to do this. So there is a market here, but you have to approach it slightly differently. You'd have to have your product ready using a Logitech camera that works crappily, and then you come to us and say, hey, I have the algorithm, I need now a better camera. And that is something you can approach us with. But you can't approach us and say, design a camera for me, I have no idea what I want. Okay, that's kind of hard. If you say, I see you make this, and can you modify it for me for that? I want a different lux or whatever. And then the answer is yes. So
I think that was a good answer. Yeah.
If you're on stage, and you got to remember.
So what are startups at the moment that excite you in the world and in Taiwan in terms of the topic supply chain management?
I have my answer, but go ahead.
What are startups that excite me in Taiwan?
Yeah, or what are the opportunities you can see for startups in Taiwan?
Oh, I mean, this may be obvious, but I think certainly, as discussed, the whole sustainability clean tech space is a big opportunity. I think specifically within that, EVs obviously is a big opportunity. I think, you know, I also spent a bit of my time in the past on the sustainability topic, and the amount of change we need in the way we fundamentally do everything in our economy is so big that there's so much potential there. And as you guys were talking, it's a change in mindset from the automobile being, you know, combustion engine driven to being really this electric kind of very basic device. Yeah.
It's a device now.
Right. Yeah. So there's so much potential there, and the need for change is so huge. That would be the key for me.
Speaking of,
Wait, I didn't finish.
Bruce.
What excites me? I think there's a lot of people like Hear Good or Sounds Great. Sorry, change your name. Sounds Great, where we're putting technology into chips now. So we've seen it for motion capture or motion sensing. We've seen it for some face recognition and body tracking. We've seen it for the hand gesture and So we've seen people who are putting technology that required a sensor and an MCU straight into a chip. So that's what excites me.
You know, on that level, I have to say in our current batch, we have startups that are just coming to life, if you will, in a storytelling and marketing perspective. They have worked for years here in the tech industry, come out of TSMC, and they're building technology, if that is scalable and mass manufacturable, that in this batch, that will truly change the world.
Yep.
I'm using big words here, but I mean it, and I'm super excited to launch now into our demo day, where we'll have Silicon Valley startups that are actually turning down money from tier 1 manufacturers. They're very selective. We have one of the startups here in our batch, as I said, if that really plays out the way we all hope, this will change the world. So really, I mean it, look out for the startup. We have a startup from New Zealand that is playing in the metaverse, which also matters to the transportation industry, among others, blockchain. So it's a really nice selection, and I'm so excited that our entrepreneurs are with us today here. And I will then move on to the demo day section.
Are you going to thank us for being on the stage?
I almost forgot, because I don't do a lot of live streamings. I prefer in-person conferences. I forgot to thank.
Hi everyone. First, I'd like to thank Mosaic Venture Lab for this opportunity to present what we're doing here at Indigo, an electric vehicle OEM producing commercial light EVs for delivery and ride-hail. In 2019, Amazon and Global Optimism co-founded the Climate Pledge to achieve net zero carbon by 2040. Uber joined and aims to have 100% of its rides in zero-emission vehicles. In April of 2021, Kelley Blue Book reports that the average EV price is over $51,000. That's over $30,000 for a compact car. As you can see, the biggest problem here are that zero-emission vehicles, EVs, are way too expensive for most people. Let's take a look at the future demand for vehicles, whether they're electric or not. Speaking with UPS and FedEx this past year, The pandemic has accelerated the adoption of e-commerce and the need to deliver packages to consumers. This has fundamentally changed their operational efficiency that they've developed for developing to their business customers. As this demand for instant gratification explodes, Amazon has actually led the way in developing the micro-hub concept, where smaller vehicles are employed and ultimately more efficient at making the last mile delivery. So how many light-duty vehicles are being used for commercial purposes today? As we can see from this Deloitte report, that in 2019 there were over 19 million commercial light vehicle registrations in North America. In 2020, only 1.7% of these new light-duty vehicles were EVs. While zero-emission vehicles are part of the solution to reducing greenhouse gases, one should realize that zero emissions is only during operation. It does not account for the massive carbon footprint created when manufacturing these vehicles. And the biggest carbon footprint for the manufacturing process is the creation of the batteries. The battery cells themselves have to be dried in these massive ovens that has a huge carbon footprint. As you can see from this Financial Times graphic, a Tesla Model S has a total carbon footprint greater than that of a BMW 7 Series. What's interesting to note is that the Mitsubishi Mirage, a gas car, is lower carbon footprint than a Tesla, and that's because it's lightweight. Looking at the vehicles that are classified in the US by weight, what's interesting is that there's basically an EV unicorn for each class. Since EVs are generally over 4,000 pounds, we found an interesting space that only we can achieve through our lightweighting technologies. So our solution to truly reduce greenhouse gases are commercial light EVs that are affordable, comfortable, and sustainable. Affordable, basically we mean that the total cost of ownership is as low as possible. That includes the purchase price of the car, the refueling or recharging costs, the maintenance and repair, and insurance, title deeds, etc. Ultimately, because our vehicles are so efficient, the total cost per mile is very low. Also, from a comfort point of view, we have some very unique in-wheel motors with active suspension. We'll get to that in a second. Finally, our vehicles are sustainable. We have a very low carbon footprint. Because our vehicles are lightweight, we do not need a large, massive battery pack. We can still achieve over 250 miles of range with just a 40 kilowatt hour battery. What allows us to create this new class of vehicles is our patented in-wheel electric motor that not only propels the vehicle forward, but also provides a vertical force for active suspension. So as the wheel goes over a bump or goes and hits a pothole, we're able to maintain a level in the cabin so that it's truly comfortable. This direct drive motor does away with complicated and heavy gearboxes that also gives us the opportunity to maximize the cabin space. Over the past year, we've engaged in a dialogue with delivery and transportation network service companies, fleet companies, and gig drivers. Beyond shaping our vehicles to meet their productivity needs, we continue to receive validation that our low cost of ownership and our low total carbon footprint is highly desired. For gig drivers, we achieve affordability by offering our LEVs on demand. In a strategic partnership with OV-Loop, we leverage their mobile wallet and services to rent our LEVs and even offer low insurance rates based on good driving behavior. We've assembled an experienced team of automotive leaders, engineers, innovators, and designers, together with mobile, consumer, and fintech experts. We are currently in a fundraising mode. If you're interested to learn more, please do reach out. So I'm sorry we can't show you what our vehicles look like today, but if you're in Vegas on January 3rd at CES, please do stop by our booth to see what this looks like. Otherwise,
Hi, we are SoundScrape. SoundScrape have been dedicated to integrating the semiconductor technology into the traditional devices for over 2 years. And we just announced a motion microchip and its application, semiconductor dynamic speakers, also known as SDS, which can transform the earphones into the professional stereo. And first of all, I want to talk about the market size. The revenue of the global speaker will be around 285 billion in 2022, and in which TWS, which is the Bluetooth earphones, also will increase by 33% at least annually. However, earphone and the speakers have no essential change for more than 100 years. And as people know, the dynamic speaker is the best kind of the speaker to produce the sound with the good quality. But due to the size problem, it is still only one dynamic speaker can be fit into one earphone. So SDS includes the motion microchip, which can produce the force and replace the voice coil, which is the key active component of the speakers. And just on the right hand side, the figure, you can see its size is just 1/10 to the traditional voice coil. But SDS can increase the 10 times of the power output. So compact but powerful is our unique advantage. And that enables earphones can equip with 4 or more SDS. And then we want to talk about why we need 4 speakers. Because a professional stereo system needs independent speakers responding from the high to low frequency, including the tweeter, mid-range, woofer, and subwoofer. And compared with the recent earphones, you can see SDS can have more speakers. So we will have the independent control on each frequency and also prevent the hearing impaired. And in addition, SDS also will have the multiple diaphragms made of the different materials. And just like timpanis playing the music through the various instruments, we will have the better timbres. And despite sound quality, I just want to mention some critical benefits. The first, SDS, we just introduced the semiconductor technology into our process. So we will have the least human intervention and also the excellent quality consistency. And second, our cost is competitive on production. And third, compared with the traditional voice coil, the power of SDS can be 2 watts. It is really powerful. So next, I will have a small, just short video to show you how the chip works. Cannot play. Oh, I'm sorry. I think the video is not working now, but it's okay. I will just continue. So, because it is really powerful, so it can be used on not just the earphones, but also more devices. So like the portable wearing devices or the professional facilities like the car interiors or the sound bars or the conference call system, even hidden speakers into the mirrors, tables, or the walls. And then I want to elaborate more details of the car interior application. As people know, we all know there are different requirements between the drivers and the passengers. A driver needs to be aware of the sound from the outside, but the passenger just want to have the quiet and comfortable surroundings. And it is really difficult for them to be satisfied when they are sharing and using the same audio system. But SDS can do that because SDS is compact but powerful. So SDS can be installed on the car headrest or car roof to control the sound direction and also adjust the volume. It is really significant breakthrough technology in the audio industry. And next, I just want to talk about our business model. SoundScrape aims to be a technology platform to help the traditional speaker producers upgrading to the semiconductor speaker producers by the turnkey solution or the customized packages. And our purpose is to create the win-win situation. We want to bring more profit to our partners. And last but not least, now we have around 40 IPs with us, and the number of IP is still increasing. So if you are interested in this booming product and market, we are most welcome you to contact us. Thank you and see you soon.
It's been a month since Facebook changed its name to Meta Platforms. Meta, short for Metaverse. And it seems it's all we've heard about in the tech circle since. If you ask them, what exactly is Metaverse, they will tell you different ideas and grandiose visions. But none of them mention anything about the difficulties that have hindered the development of mixed reality. And let me tell you, it's because that many of the major problems of mixed reality have not been solved. So the promised user experience has not been delivered. First, we have vergence accommodation conflict. It's when our brain receives different information. It's when our brain receives conflict information on where the virtual object is. Because the display is so close to our eyes, but the virtual object, our brain thinks the object is further away from Therefore, our brain gets confused and we get dizzy. Second, we have focal rivalry. It's when our eyes can only focus on either virtual or real object, but not both of them at the same time, unless they're on the same focal plane. And then, which leads to the third problem, that right now we have very limited number of focal planes. Therefore, the motion and then the transition of the virtual object is never smooth or accurate. I'm very happy to tell you that all these problems that have hindered the MR development have been resolved. Let me present to you oomii. Not only that we have solved all the above problems, our technology has more than 300 layers of focal planes. Therefore, we can present you the mixed reality with precision. oomii is the first venture studio that is dedicated to building MR ventures and bring them to your life. We are a tech platform that is not focused on a single use for MR, but rather provide the tools to fulfill any visions in the MR mixed reality. Not only that, we are the first venture studio that is dedicated to MR. We are the only venture studio with our own core technology. We have access to a portfolio of over 100 IPs, and this list is expanding. We are now using the IP portfolio to build MR ventures, and currently we have projects running in the pipeline in the following area: research, education, healthcare, work and collaboration, and gaming. And this list is also expanding. oomii Not only that, oomii is what is a venture studio? We're also called the Startup Factory. We are a new breed of organization that provides a wide range of services to startups. So startups can focus on building their product and excel. According to some numbers published by Global Startup Studio Network, startups created by studios have an average of 53% internal rate of return compared to the 21% to non-studio startups. And it will only take them 10.6 months to from creation to seed round. That's less than a third of time for non-studio startups. So if you're interested in our MR technology, joining, putting MR venture with oomii, or are just curious about how maybe we can leverage our strength together in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out. My name is Amanda from oomii Venture Studio. Let us enable metaverse and create the future together. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Sar from Woojer and I'm happy to join this event. We all know, basically we're all using either screens or headsets when we listen to music, we see videos, we see movies, but can we really differentiate between 8K or 10K screens? Can we really, if somebody gives us a $300 headset or $100 earphones, can we really differentiate, see the difference or hear the difference? Well, I think basically it depends if you're a professional or not, but personally it's really hard to differentiate. But basically what Woojer can actually let you start feel is a missing dimension, that you can actually feel the music, feel the video, feel the video game that you're playing. So basically Woojer has the world's best haptic technology that exists. It's scalable and very flexible in terms of size and weight. You can make it small, you can make it large, but anyway, it's very energy efficient and ratio size to energy impact to vibration. It's the best there is in the market. Woojer was founded in 2010 and already raised almost up to $10 million US from investors. It's the last series of products launched in 2020 already sold over 18 million US. Actually, this deck hasn't been updated in the last month. It already crossed 22 million US and going up. Basically, it already delivered over 100K products, 100,000 products to very happy, enthusiastic customers, and it has a rich portfolio. Obviously, Woojer is not only what you see as our products. The technology is scalable and can be implemented in different verticals. So at the moment, we're focusing on gaming and music and VR, obviously. But the new verticals that we're opening in the near future are the automotive and medical verticals, which are very, very interesting in terms of what you can do with haptic technology. So basically, the Woojer is looking for investment, obviously, for the next round. It's going to be used in order to increase the marketing, the sales channels. I didn't mention, but the over 22 million US in sales in the less than 2 years was done only on our website, nowhere else. That's quite impressive. Obviously, to open up new verticals, and to sum up, Woojer is the best and the most amazing haptic technology that can be implemented into your car seat, into your vest that already exists, or other medical implementation that could be developed in the future. So if you're interested in more details, feel free to contact us. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Titus. We are coming from PanelSemi Corporation. We are doing a display stuff. Let me tell you how we do it. Okay, imagine what nowadays display is going bigger and bigger for different needs. But do you know, if you want to build a Gen 10.5 TFT LCD factory, it will cost you $8 billion US. This cannot be any further. So we see a different solution, but before that we see some problem for you. We foresee some problem in nowadays business. Number one is you need to a bigger screen, then you have to build a bigger fab, which is not longer a good idea. The second things, if you need a big TV, if you really do it for 120 inches, but it cannot be possible to ship into your house. Number three, by traditional TFT LED display, it's become more and more away from digital futures. Therefore, we provide a solution we call active matrix on TFT substrate. So the reason is that we are using TFT as a switch to control both digital signal, and in the same time we have provided a line with a Cooper line, then it goes with also the electricity. So we good to making it together. So you can imagine our platform, we can not only put LED on top, we can also put sensors, semiconductor, and the hidden camera, and so on. So this is our good channel from nowadays display to the digital world in the future. So we are not only a display alone, we also a kind of integrate of things company. So let me show you. This is a regular display we have. So you can imagine in any location in our display, you can put the camera in. Then for different business model, if you like ambient sensor, you just put it in together. And also you can put infrared sensor on any location also. Then your screen is no longer a screen. It's a digital devices into the digital world. Okay. Why we need to do this now is a good time, because we are following LED Moore law. It means nowadays we are doing a mini LED, but in the future we are going to move into the micro LED in the future. Right now micro LED is too expensive right now, but we are putting a lot of patents and also the backbone structure already in. So sooner or later, we are micro LED company with no doubt. Okay, the benefit of our product will be number one, they are doing a seamless multi-tiling for a bigger screen. This means forget about $8 billion installation for the factory. Number two, the display we are make is only just 1 millimeter in thickness, very thin. Then more attractively, it's become a rollable and a heterogeneous integration to the digital worlds. This is the benefit we provide. So let you see our POC to MVP for your idea, then you can know how interesting it is. So you see I'm holding a regular 55-inch 16 versus 9 ratio. Then I can make it in the cylinder with minutes. Then you see it's easy to display any digital content for the ads, and also it can become put a metaverse or your idea and into the display. But don't consider this will be very difficult to build. It just take you 1 minute. So check out this video. I show you how to do it from a flat panel, 55-inch, then make it into a cylinder. Yeah, check it out. So you see two of our colleagues just holding the panel, 55-inch flat panel. Then they just flip it over, then become a cylinder. Then put any kind of supporting gears. Then here comes our cylinder display, as you can see. So by input different sensors and hidden camera, you can see this display would be the other interesting parts in your business model. So check it out. Then in the future, we as I mentioned, we want to build a bigger screen, and together with still all different sensors, it can become a multiple business model possibility. So we were choosing one or two to become a unicorn in the future, start with a business model. Then the other things we want to work with as an open platform to work with the other company and also startups to going further. So then you can see here's our organization chart. Then we have all different core team basically from Innolux. Then we are open our mind to get more resources in together with a bad talent from the world. Okay, and my name is Titus. So thank you for your time, and let us know if you are interested in our product and service. Thank you very much.
This is not working. This is not working. Thank you. Okay. Good to go. Hello, I'm Rachel Hatch. I capitalised on the first internet wave in New Zealand, which led to a $15 million exit. I foresaw the opportunity for immersive internet, and even though the time was not right, I invested in research and development in solving a problem I could foresee. This is, what's wrong?
Big one.
Big one. Here we go. Virtual reality treadmills fail to achieve realistic presence, and that is because of their design. It is not possible for gamers, metaverse and treadmill users to naturally walk and run in any direction. With Motive's next generation of treadmills and technologies, you can. Motive has two technologies, the now and the future of the metaverse. Motive's first technology turns dumb treadmills into smart tech. Paired with traditional treadmills, enables people to walk, run and play in 2D and 3D environments, with application for fitness, including active senior health market, and as a rehabilitation tool for stroke, brain, limb injury recovery, delivering engaging and immersive experiences to assist people to meet their goals. Highlighting a connected gym equipment player, specifically Peloton, their revenue figure of 60 million in subscriptions per month. Motive's technology is like Peloton on metaverse steroids. Now I'm going to talk about Motive's second technology, the future of the metaverse, Motive's oomii. Motive has the missing piece for realistic presence, full immersion into the metaverse and 3D worlds, proof of concept of design, materials and applicable technologies for a treadmill that gives the freedom to walk and run naturally in any direction. Considered to be the holy grail of VR, this is a problem many have been chasing to solve. The metaverse is revolutionising the way we interact, work, live, and across most all consumer and commercial markets. The merging of the physical world with VR and AR, obviously being able to naturally walk and run within, is an underlying part of it. Realistic presence is the key to feeling connected in the metaverse. Here are most of the oomii players, and who can achieve realistic presence? Aside from Motive, only one other comes close, but with a heavy motor and a $40,000 plus price point. Motive's development goal is cost efficient to a mass market. Motive's technologies are the next generation of treadmills and beyond. Facebook, now rebranded as Meta, is betting its future on the metaverse. Their goal is 1 billion people in VR. This is a multi-trillion-dollar market. Our revenue channels are through co-licensing, subscriptions and digital assets. To achieve Motive's goals, the plan to market is 2 stages of company activity. Firstly, a 9-month hardware and software development to being market ready. So focusing on these highlighted needs. Engineering expertise to finalise and build and take the product to market, with partners to go forward with, from materials, chip sets, sensors and components to content and market channel partners. The advantage for our partners is supplying a new and innovative product that has global demand across multiple consumer and commercial markets, and the underlying activity of fundraising. I've been working in this space for a while now, waiting for the opportunity. Mark Zuckerberg made it official. The time for Motive is now. And as amazing as the headsets are, they are not the full solution. Motive enables Meta's Oculus, in fact all headsets, to provide the all-important realistic presence. Without Motive's technology, living, working and playing in the metaverse is not complete. There is a problem and Motive's technology solve this. Motive focuses on the treadmill and I'm taking this part of the metaverse market. I'm looking for team, partners and support to finish the tech and take to market. Now Mark Zuckerberg is with me and Motive is the key to the metaverse. So if this excites you and you'd like to discuss further, please talk to me. Thank you.
Okay, so hello everyone, my name is Ashley Reeves. I'm the Partnerships Director for Decent. And today we're going to focus a little bit about risk mitigation, which is the theme of today, and how blockchain can help with that. So Decent was founded in 2015. We are a blockchain as a service company from Slovakia, and we have been working on a number of different verticals and supply chain management and logistics is one of them. We have our own blockchain, and this blockchain is called Decore. It's been running since 2016 non-stop, and it has a relatively unique hybrid consensus. So when we often think about blockchain, there's quite a lot of different chains that are vying for dominance, and these layer 1 chains primarily are focused on the public domain, and these domains focus on currencies primarily like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and whilst cryptocurrency has been the big focus, it's not always suitable for institutions or corporates that want to get into the blockchain space. So there are a couple of companies in the enterprise arena like R3 Corda and Hyperledger by IBM that offer private chains, and these private chains are in a company's internal servers and provide value internally, but are not accessed from a public domain. What Decore does, and what our chain is focusing on, is a consortium hybrid blockchain. And what this means is we are able to essentially connect the public chain to the private chain, to a private chain that is deployed on a company's internal servers. And therefore, an organization is able to essentially benefit from both worlds. So in the supply chain industry, what is some of the big issues right now? Well, there is a US decoupling going on with China, and a lot of these manufacturers are looking to diversify. This creates some big opportunity, but of course, for sure, it creates risks as well. So Gartner, recently said that 33% plan or are going to be basically leaving by 2023. So some of those risks can, be varied and wide. We've got payment issues, compliance issues, quality control. When you're going into a new territory, how are you going to solve these problems? This is our solution. So we have Decore, and on top of that, we've built an application dealing with logistics. And of course, whilst we get to cut costs anywhere up to 60%, we have a lot of different things that we can solve as well, which I will get into. But essentially what we do is we use smart contracts to automate data on a supply chain. And any industry that has a supply chain we can tap into, from medical to industrial, energy, agriculture, anything you can think of. Here are some of our partners. Of course, we are doing a bunch of different things, but in the supply chain industry, we're focusing mostly on aerospace. And I'd like to give you a couple of examples. One of our biggest partners, which we're incredibly proud to be working with, is the European Space Agency. So we've installed that consortium blockchain with these guys. And essentially since Q4 last year, we've tracked and traced components going into the manufacturing plant of this Vega C rocket. So on the outside of the manufacturing plant, we're using the public chain, so everyone's able to see where the data is moving. But the minute it hits the manufacturing plant, it goes into their internal blockchain. So even us as a company, we don't have access to this data. And they're doing a bunch of different things. They're improving their process management, they're tracking and tracing the components internally. Are they installed on time? Are they installed in spec? Have there been any kind of faults observed? How can they get those faults fixed and returned? So we are doing that successfully, and we're trying to replicate that now in Taiwan and also the UAE as well. So we've got some projects going on in the United Arab Emirates with some aerospace organizations there. This one is focused on, actually this one's only the public chain, and if you have a phone at hand, feel free to scan this QR code to see a live demo. But essentially this chocolate company from Slovakia, a company called Lira, wanted to provide a narrative to their customers and make sure that their customers know that these chocolates are sourced ethically, and they've been provided best by dates. All sorts of different things are provided from a data perspective to the end customer, and that alone has improved their margins and generated 10% extra revenue, and on top of that, it's improved their customer loyalty. So it's been pretty successful. So why have we chosen Taiwan? Why are we here? Well, of course, apart from being strategically located between North and South Asia, Southeast Asia, we are partnered with the Slovak Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei. They've been supporting us. In October last month, 2 months ago now, end of October, we signed an MOU with Taiwan's National Space Organization to essentially now do what we're doing with ESA here. And so essentially we're hoping to replicate the same success. We are really interested in finding more partners. We're looking to hopefully tap into any organization that wants to provide immutability and provenance of data on their supply chain. So feel free to reach out, and hopefully we can work together. Thanks very much.
I would like to thank everyone for attending Mosaic Demo Day number 3. It was an eventful, short demo day with a lot of potential, and I can't wait to see these Taiwanese international startups in our portfolio grow, and some of them change the world. Thank you for attending, and we look forward to seeing you in one of our next sessions. And please subscribe to our Iceberg channel. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.